Now, are you already a component ninja? We learned a lot about components, about the templates, options we have there, and about the styles. I want to focus on the last property we see in this component decorator for now, the selector. I already mentioned that this has to be a unique selector so that you don't override accidentally an already existing element or maybe a component made available by another third-party package you use in your project. There's one other piece of information about the selector though. You don't have to use this type of selector. Right now our selector is the same selector as we use it in CSS for selecting an element. So we have app servers here as an element, and this is recognized by Angular because the selector we chose is app servers. And this basically just looks how you select elements in CSS, right? We select the H3 element by just typing H3 here. We select the app servers element by just typing app servers here. So that actually works like a CSS selector, and therefore you are not limited to selecting by element. You could put this into squared brackets to use the attribute selector. So in CSS you can select elements by attribute by enclosing that attribute in squared brackets. And now if you save this, you would see that our app actually is broken, because if we have a look at the error message, app servers is an unknown element, because now our code, Angular, doesn't recognize app servers anymore, because we changed the selector to be an attribute. So to make this work again, we would have to comment this out or remove it, and maybe add a div or any other element, a normal HTML element, which has an app servers attribute now. Now with this custom attribute added now the app works again, because now Angular selects the element by attribute and not by the element itself, because we changed this selector. Another alternative is to select by, and I'm just going to comment this out so that the code is still there for reference, to select by class. So with a dot at the beginning, app servers. Again, just like in CSS. So here we can now select by class. So let's add a new div here, which has a CSS class of app servers, which we of course could now also style. But besides that, it's also recognized by Angular as a selector, which is why we still see the app. Now, these are all options you have. As a side note, selecting by ID won't work. That's not supported by Angular. And all those pseudo selectors like hover and so on also don't work. And you typically use the element style here, app servers, for components. We will soon learn about directives, another feature where this is different. But for components, you typically create your own elements, and therefore you don't use that style and you don't use the attribute style. Instead, you use app servers like an element, but it is important to understand that you are not limited to this, and there might be use cases where you want to use a different selector.